This video is about how to graph period changes on the sine and cosine graphs. Okay, to graph a period change, remember what a period is first. On the graph, like if it's sine, the curve, period is the time it takes to complete one curve. Cosine, the time it takes to complete one cycle is the period. So what we're going to be seeing in the equations today is a period change because there's going to be a value for b there. First, you want to start with the parent points of the parent function. So here are my points from the sine function. And here's mechanically what I'm going to do. I'm going to divide. Notice it's divide, not multiply. Divide the x values today by b from the equation to generate my new points. So catch it. It's dividing x by b. That's the big deal today. So catch that, and we're going to try some examples. Example 1, y equals the sine of 6x. Okay, I've put down here our parent points of the sine function. Let's analyze this first. What is the amplitude of this? Remember, the a value here is just the 1. The period, well, that's 2 pi divided by b. Well, b in this case is a 6. So if I reduce that, as you always do, you get pi over 3. All right, so you're always going to have to tell me amplitude and period. Now let's look at how do we find our new points. We'll start with the parent function, and remember, to find new points, I'm going to take the x values and I'm going to divide it by whatever b is. Okay. So my x value is 0. Well, 0 divided by 6 is still 0. So the first point is good. The next point, pi over 2. All right, now pi over 2 divided by 6. Now, guys, pi over 2 divided by 6. Now think about this. That's 6 over 1, right? Well, you've got to get used to the fraction. Keep it, change it, flip it. So I'm going to keep this and flip this. So what I have for my new x value is pi over 12. It feels weird, but that's correct. The y value is not changed. Next one is pi. Well, pi divided by 6 is easy. It's just pi over 6. Y value is 0. Next point, look, 3 pi over 2 divided by 6 over 1. This is going to be a keep it, change it, flip it. Alright, so 3 pi over 2, change to multiplication, flip this over. When I multiply, I get 3 pi over 12. Well, that reduces to pi over 4. So my new x value is pi over 4. Y value is not changed in this scenario, so it's still -1. Lastly is 2 pi. 2 pi divided by 6, we already talked about this. That is pi over 3. So it's pi over 3. Alright, now on these, you're not going to plot the parent function. You're just going to plot the new points that you have. Okay, so look at your x values. They go from 0 to pi over 3. So I'm going to put pi over 3 over here. 0 is where it is. Alright, the next one is pi over 12. Pi over 6. Pi over 4. That feels strange, but these are your new points. Now plot your points with the current y values. So you have 0, 1, 0, -1, and 0. So what's happened is my curve no longer goes to 2 pi, it only goes to pi over 3. Next example, let's try this with the cosine graph. So I put the cosine parent points down here. Look at your equation. Amplitude, A is a 1, so my amplitude is simply 1. Period. It's 2 pi divided by b. Well, b in this case is pi over 6. So it's dividing by a fraction. Yes, you got to do this. 2 pi over 1 divided by this means I got to flip the bottom. So look what's going to happen. My pi's are going to cancel, and my period now is 12, which feels very strange, but that does happen. So for my new points, again, I'm going to take all my x values, divide it by pi over 6. All right? So 0 divided by anything is still 0. So that first point is going to be fine. The next one, okay? Pi over 2 divided by pi over 6. Keep it, change it, flip it. Six over 2, which is 3. Y is still 0. Next one, pi divided by pi over 6. I got to flip the bottom. So it's going to be pi over 1 times 6 over pi. Those cancel, and my new x value is 6. My y value is still negative 1. 3 pi over 2 divided by a fraction. I'm going to flip the bottom. 6 over pi. Pi's cancel. I get 18 over 2. Guess what? That's 9. 0. 2 pi divided by pi over 6. Keep it, change it, flip it. Pi's cancel, and 2 times 6 is 12. So my last point is 12, 1. Alright, so look at your x values. They go from 0 all the way out to 12 now. Right in the middle is 6, then there's a 3, and then there's a 9. Amplitude is the same as the parent function, just to keep it simple. And then we plot our points. At 0, it's 1. At 3, it's 0. 6, it's negative 1. 9, it's 0. And at 12, it's back up at 1. So you can see the curve looks the same as always. What is really important is you're showing your tick marks on your graph, showing me your new x values. Another example, this one might throw you for a loop because you got two things going on. You have an amplitude change and a period change. So amplitude in this case is the absolute value of a, which is 4. So that means the distance from the midline is 4 now. The period is 2 pi divided by 2. Well, that means it's just pi. All right. So two things going on. For an amplitude change, remember I have to do the y values times a, and then I have to do the x values divided by b for a period change. So we got two changes happening for each point. So the first one, well, 0 times negative 4 is still 0. And then, I'm sorry, the x value is 0. 0 divided by 2 is 0. For the y value, 0 times a, which is negative 4, is still 0. So that first point did not change. Next one, x value dividing by b, which is 2. Okay, so it's pi over 2. Keep it, change it, flip it. That makes pi over 4. Y value is 1. Multiply that by your a, which makes this negative 1. Next point. X value gets divided by b, which is 2. So that makes that pi over 2. 0 times negative 4 is still 0. Next point. All right. 3 pi over 2 divided by 2. Keep it, change it, flip it. What's that going to be? 3/4 of pi. Y value is negative 1 multiplied by negative 4, and I get a positive 4. Last point, 2 pi divided by 2 makes it just pi. And then 0 times negative 4 is still 0. Alright, so now we have our points. Look at your x values. They go from 0 all the way up to pi. And then I have half of that, pi over 4, 3 pi over 4. Those are the x values I just found. Now I plot my y values. So basically it goes to 0 to 4 or 0 to negative 4. So 0, and then the next point at pi over 4 is at negative 4, so it's flipping. Pi over 2, it's at 0. At 3 pi over 4, it's up at 4. And at pi, it's back at 0. So I took my sine curve and it flipped upside down, stretched it, and had a horizontal shrink as well. All right, for the whisk, I want you to try this one. Okay, only one change going on. It's just a period change. B is 3 pi. So make sure you apply that correctly to your amplitude, period, graph, points, the whole shebang. All right, good luck, and we'll see you in class.